I am Dr. José Ramón Lizárraga, and I am from the future. I am from a future that nobody, including myself, imagined for myself. I am from a future that by many measures was not meant for me as a queer child of poor Mexican immigrants. When I was in 4th grade and started showing some academic promise, my teacher wanted me to dream of being President of the United States. But what I really wanted was to be a school bus driver. Then in high school, when I was in advanced placement and honors classes, my teachers wanted me to dream of being a medical doctor, while what I really wanted was to be the next Frida Kahlo. And when I was getting my PhD, my mentors wanted me to dream of being a professor. But what I really wanted was to be cast in an episode of Star Trek. That last one is a joke, of course. Kind of. I'm sure that as children, we all have had experiences of adults asking us what we wanted to be when we grew up. Or maybe we find ourselves doing the same with our young ones. In schools, we often build learning around these dreams of the future selves of our young people. But these narratives, these imaginings of the future of our young people are often limited by what we want to see for them, and not what they see for themselves. No matter how fantastical, how silly, or how playful these imaginings can be. Playfulness, play, the playful imagination is what has animated much of my work as a researcher of learning and development for young people, specifically youth from Black and brown communities. Youth who are often pigeonholed as low achieving and deficient. In the fall of 2012, when I was just beginning my doctoral studies, I got one of my first powerful visions of what a space that fosters playful imaginings can do for young people. That fall, I started working with Dr. Glenda Hull, a professor at UC Berkeley, as a program coordinator and researcher in an after-school digital storytelling club called Space to Create. At the core of this program was a customized social network that we created for predominantly Latinx youth in Richmond, California. S28, as we called it, was like a safe Facebook for 3rd through 5th graders where they could connect with other kids their age from all over the world. These kids met a couple of times a week at St. Cornelius Elementary in Richmond, California. In that room, they would work with teachers and peers to create digital movies. They wrote scripts, they filmed, they edited, and did the post-production. They would create these stories and then post them on this safe Facebook site that we created. They could chat with other kids about the videos through this network. One 4th grader I worked with was named Julieta, and her genius was in full display. She created an amazing film about her experiences as an immigrant to the US from El Salvador, and her family's experience in adapting to life in a new country. She connected online with a young Mexican peer in Jalisco, and she showed this very sophisticated way of talking with someone she didn't know. She asked very subtle and far-reaching questions that led to very rapid relationship building with the other child. It was a kind of diplomacy that you don't see often in 4th graders. So not only was her film cool, she was able to connect in ways that even we as adults struggle with. I soon discovered from school staff and administrators that this same child was having issues in her regular school classes, often put in remedial activities for her lack of English proficiency and lack of engagement. So how is it that we could all see two very different versions of the same child, two different versions of Julieta? Through my work with Dr. Hull and Dr. Chris Gutierrez, I came to understand that a child can indeed show their true, authentic genius when the learning environment is saturated with opportunities for a child to do so. Opportunities for a child to play, to build relationships, and to leverage the interests and skills they already possess. As a graduate student and now as a professor, I have found that when teachers and young people have opportunities to co-author side by side, they develop an understanding of how to create shared goals of learning activity. They learn how to unearth and amplify a richness of expertise and talent. They enact academic knowledge in creative ways. This type of playful space is not only important for a child to present a different kind of self than is usually presented, but it's a rich place for teachers to imagine their own developing identities. In a creative space, both can happen at the same time. Instead of teachers observing and learning how to manage students, teachers can get into the playful imagination of a child. And then teachers learn how to use play to design better learning and become better teachers. Central to this type of collective learning is that collective joy, that hope, and that possibility. This makes a rich space of learning for both children and for teachers. This hope and possibility is important in our sociopolitical context. And yes, that is a Trump mask that teacher is wearing on her head. And this is because the teacher was part of a science fiction short film that her and the youth were producing. A film where the former president betrays humanity by joining forces with an alien force. The teacher and youth used cutting-edge filming and editing technology, often learning how to use these tools together side by side. Indeed, developing important digital literacies. And as you can see, even the teacher had a role created for her. In this example, like others in the work that I have done, teachers and youth created stories that are indeed fantastical, but in many ways imagine solutions to everyday problems. It is important to note that the youth seen here are of Mexican and Salvadorian heritage. And during the beginning stages of writing the script for the film, their families were being directly impacted by racist immigration policies. Our youth, alongside the teacher, imagined a solution, albeit with a climax where Trump was sucked into a black hole. This fantastical ending showed hope, possibility, and agency. I also want to note that the teachers and young people did some research on singularities and black holes when devising this ending. Indeed, through the crafting of this fantastical solution of the problem of Trump, the young people were embodying identities as future astrophysicists. The fantastical, as propelled by the playful imagination, can be consequential for the learning and development of not only young people, but of teachers and adults, and even us as researchers. And listen, I may not have become a bus driver, but through my work as a university professor and researcher, I get to drive around, usher learners through powerful learning experiences. And while I did not become the next Frida Kahlo, I use my artistic sensibilities and creativity every day as I co-design learning possibilities with youth and with teachers. And I'm still waiting for that casting call from Star Trek. But I will continue to guide those with whom I work to shoot for the stars, to use their playful imaginations and the fantastical, to dream up new possibilities of a new, just world. Thank you.